Okay, so here we are, week 9, video 3, and this will be the last video for this week. This is a very designing experiment, it's a very hands-on thing, and you really don't need 2 videos for lesson 7. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this one more. All right, so we'll look at Explore and Connect. We're not going to do them, of course, but you're just going to look at them to get an idea of how you go about designing experiments. So in this one, you would do it ordinarily as a classroom activity, but we're just going to work our way through it to understand what we would have done. It says you will need an envelope, 10 red paper clips, and 10 green paper clips. All right, so you have to decide how many paper clips of each color to put in the envelope under these 3 conditions. So the first one is that you want it to be that removing a red paper clip is less likely than removing a green paper clip. So in that one, you would simply put more green. The more green you have, the less likely it will be that anyone taken out at random would be red. In the second scenario, result B, you want to set it up so that removing a red paper clip is more likely than removing a green paper clip. Okay, so this time you reverse it. You put more red paper clips in and less green. And again, any person reaching in without looking would be more likely to pick out a red one because there are simply more of them in the envelope. And for the third scenario, the third experiment, removing a red paper clip and removing a green paper clip are equally likely. Well, then you just put all 10 red in, all 10 green in, and it becomes equally likely that somebody reaching in would take one of each at alternate times. Okay. Now moving over to Connect. It says that Sue and Tim are designing experiments with 2 colors of tiles in a paper bag. Sue designed an experiment where taking a blue tile was more likely than taking a red tile. Sue put 2 red tiles and 8 blue tiles in the bag. Tim took a tile, recorded its color, then returned the tile to its bag. Here are the results. And there they are. The tally results. Tim took a blue tile more often than he took a red tile, so the experiment turned out just the way Sue had expected. Okay, so those are 2 examples of simple experiments that you could design and carry out. So I'm going to ask you to do some of the questions for practice, and here they are. They will be in your instructions, but we'll just go through them. So we're all clear on what needs to be done. But I will tell you that right now it's numbers 1, all the items, 3, all the items, 5, all the items, 4 of them there, and number 7. And, all right, so let's look at them now. Number 1 says your teacher will give you 3 copies of a large spinner. I'll give you 3 circles with a dot in the middle. Your job will be to design and then color each spinner so that, and then there are 3 different experiments that they want you to, spinners that they want you to design. I will actually give you 6, and that way you can do a rough draft the first time and then do a beautiful one the second time. As per usual, I would prefer that you use colored pencil and or wax crayon rather than felt tip markers. Felt tip markers are just too heavy. The color bleeds and all that. Just pencil crayon or wax crayon will be fine. Okay, so this first one, you should design a spinner so that landing on red is less likely than landing on green. Second one, landing on red and landing on green are equally likely. And the third one, landing on red is more likely than landing on green. And then they want you to explain why you colored each spinner the way you did. Pretty straightforward, I think. Okay. Number 3, you will need colored counters and a paper bag. Well, you could do this with your imagination, I think. Suppose you take one counter from the bag without looking, design one experiment so that you are unlikely to take a green counter, you are likely to take a blue counter, taking a red counter is impossible. So, design the experiment with a drawing, counters and a bag, and then answer the 2 questions. How many counters of each color did you put in the bag? We'll be able to see that, but I want you to write it out. And then explain why you chose the counters you did. Pretty straightforward again. For number 5, suppose you have number cards from 1 to 20 and a paper bag. Again, you can do this with your imagination. An experiment is taking a number from the bag without looking. Design each experiment. So for A, taking an even number and taking an odd number are equally likely. So say what you would do. There's always 20 cards, but you don't have to put them all in there. Taking an odd number is more likely than taking an even number. Again, there's always 20 cards, but you don't have to put them all in there. Taking a number from 1 to 10 is more likely than taking a number from 11 to 20. You may have to be creative with that and think it through how you would do that. And D, taking number 13 is impossible. So, just design that experiment. You don't have to conduct it, just design it and say what you would do. And for number 7, design a spinner so that when the pointer is spun, these conditions are met. Landing on red is most likely, landing on blue is impossible, landing on green and landing on yellow are equally likely, and landing on purple is the least likely. Explain your work. So I'll give you another circle with a dot in the middle so you can do that as well. So you'll have 7 circles altogether, and I will put numbers next to them so that you know where each one is supposed to be. In addition, as you can see, here, the Practice and Homework book, Unit 7, Lesson 7, page 116, you are to do number 1, and page number 117, you are to do number 1, and the Stretch Your Thinking exercise. And again, that is just like we did for Lesson 6, isn't it? The same items. And that work goes in your book. And I think you can follow that, do that yourself. You'll have an experience by that time. Okay, so that is it for this week, and that is it for statistics and probability. So next week is our last week, and that will be on the subject of financial literacy, and that will be our last topic for the term. So, stay healthy, stay well, and I will see you at some time in the future. GoPro, stop recording.